I think a good partnership is made up of trust and understanding of both sides. When you bring together two groups of people, a set of shared values, I think is a really important starting point, and that we've enjoyed with UPP and Lancaster for many years. I think once you've got shared values, then a lot of the other things fall into place, and it means you can ride out the good times as well as the not so good times.
I think I would say that UPP supports us in our role, and the university in general, in bringing expertise and knowledge from across the sector to enable us to benchmark to a degree what we're doing and look at new initiatives that have been successful in other areas across the country.
It's really important that at a strategic level, our strategic ambitions and incentives are aligned, and making sure that those relationships and those lines of communication remain open is really important. But equally important is to ensure that every level of the organisation are also working really effectively with our, whether it's our wardens within the university, whether it's our accommodation contract management team, at every level it's important that those touch points and those points of communication are effective. And I really do think that's an area over the last 10 years or so where we've made some real important steps forward in our relationship, and long may that continue.
I can't remember the year, but it was definitely winter time. In the new block new accommodation block, we had a heating defect. It was pretty much a complete failure. And I think one of the challenges that we had is how did we work? We ended up working together, both the university and UPP, to actually ensure that one, heating was provided to the students, not just in heating the rooms, but in also hot water. It was a challenging time. It was one that we were able to get through, but we only were able to get through it from literally working together and actually managing the defect. And I think that's been one of the biggest challenges, but also a big success.
We take the advantage of UPP being part of the team, but also having an external perspective with their other partnerships and looking out into the private sector, probably a little bit more than we do, certainly within the FM function. And that has huge advantages because we can see that UPP have this more commercial outlook on the market than perhaps we do and we can have. So to share that knowledge is incredibly useful.
We undertake surveys across the year at all our halls of residence. UPP are one of the partners that we work with, amongst a number of others across the city. The results typically for UPP in terms of student experience will always be exceptionally strong. So we are comparing that to other people that we work with, and yes, they are strong, but in Carnegie Village, the number of names that are mentioned on the survey as a thank you from some of the students who have completed it is testament really to the great job that the team are doing at Carnegie Village. I think UPP equally are very keen to work with us and do work with us, and some of our future intent in terms of the development of our teams will be rolling out to UPP, and UPP are equally on board and supportive of that as well.
Lancaster has got a fantastic future ahead of it because, in no small measure to our work with UPP, we're on a stable financial footing, which we will have to carefully navigate the challenges, but it gives us that point where we can still invest in things, invest in the research that we do, the key people that our students benefit from by being taught and working alongside them, and UPP covering our accommodation needs, keeping them up to date. That actually is a huge weight off my mind. But also it's the conversation about, well, how big does this university need to be? And again, navigating through those challenges, thinking through what the size and shape of this university is going to be over the next 10, 15, 20 years, we will have UPP at our side thinking through, okay, what does investment in student accommodation in the college system need to look like? And so UPP will be playing a vital role over the next decade and more as we plan our future.
They are part of our team. They're not an additional team, they're part of our team that we would go to for support and expertise in the field of residences and accommodation, and more broadly than that as well in some instances.
One of the main discussions that we're starting to explore is around environmental sustainability and how we can improve biodiversity and our waste and things like that, so that it's a campus as a whole rather than just the university excluding accommodation. We have to look at this as a whole thing. I was reading earlier today the sustainability report from UPP, and it was some of the achievements that UPP have been able to make, how we can start to align that to the University of Hull. I think that's really important, and I'd actually like to have those kind of conversations going forward, rather than just kind of talking about the numbers or student numbers and rents and things. Actually getting more into that.
Just yesterday, in fact, we had really interesting conversations with colleagues at UPP and some architects about potential future designs, which will perhaps maybe not provide students with as much space, but would allow them to access accommodation at a lower price point. And if they're accessing that accommodation slightly less frequently or for slightly shorter periods, then their needs might be slightly different. So it's just thinking differently about not just, as I say, how we've traditionally met student accommodation needs, but thinking creatively further ahead about how we can achieve some of those things.
When we look at our student survey results, there are multiple names of all the colleagues who work at Carnegie Village, and it really comes through very strongly that everybody is there to look after the students. And what's equally important is, well, that those students who are living at Carnegie Village feel part of a family in many ways at Carnegie Village, and that ethos is just flooding through the feedback that we're getting.
Is anybody we don't like single out?
Do you know, I can't think of anybody. I don't think that's been as bad as I thought it'd be.
No, it never is it?
No.